Got the back basically done. I've rounded the back side, so we're almost done. I decided I am going to do a bit of a belly cut. Once you decide that, you got to follow through. So if you can see, there's my pencil line of where I'm going to work, and I'm just going to do this with a file. It's one of those things, it's not hard to do, it just takes time. So this is not a huge belly cut. This is going to be relatively subtle. I'm thinking now as I look at it, I may have to bring this end of it way up higher to the edge of the bout, really. If it's going to do any good, that is. But it's just to make the thing slightly more comfortable and just look a little less boxy. What I'm finding really effective with these sort of curved areas, being the end grain, there's just a lot of pits. No matter how much you sand, I keep seeing new ones. And I've decided it makes a lot of sense to just use wood filler, because this is all going to be solid black anyway after I sort of sunburst it. I did my belly cut here. I just did I don't know if you can tell. No, that's pretty hard to see. But it's definitely no longer a sharp edge, so I probably took, I don't know, maybe half a centimeter deep at the deepest point. So it's just enough to make it nice and comfortable without it poking you, but without losing the telly shape that we've come to love. So anyway, I'm quite pleased with how this is going to turn out. I wish there was a way of rescuing this knot, but that's going to be deep in sunburst country, so it's going to be completely covered. Alright, so we're at the staining portion of the show. What I'm going to do is take this is like ink pad refill ink, and use it as wood dye. Got a bit of water in a little dish here. I'm going to use a chunk of paper towel. Oh, I don't have one close to me. I'll go get that. Anyway, I'm going to put some ink in the water and then rub it on an inconspicuous spot. So for me, that's going to be out near the edges here where we're just going to sunburst it anyway. You're not going to see it. Alright, let's see how this goes. It's pretty black looking. Oh good. That's not so bad. It's also not so obvious an effect. So this may take actually more ink. Afford to get this really wet, I suppose. I'm just going to hit it with sandpaper. Let's see if it sort of soaks into the end grain. Oh, it does if you work over these areas. Alright, so there's an indication of where I didn't sand quite as well. Alright, it's good enough for an experiment. Let's hit this with sandpaper and see what we get. Alright, so it's not exactly awesome, but that's what it looks like sanded. In the spot that I had it, there's a lot of wood filler here because of the block planer. It wasn't doing an awesome job right at the end there, and I didn't want to sand so much wood off. So let's see what it looks like when we put the red in it. So I'm not super stoked on what this looks like right now, but let's see what it looks like on wood. That's not bad. Not as dark as I wanted. As reds go. I may have to use this with the varnish, but it depends if the varnish has got no yellowy stain in it at all, then well, we'll see. Let's just keep working, see what we get. Alright, so I hit it with a bit of this natural wood finish, which does have a yellowy color to it. I tried that experiment over here, and I'm getting a closer, but this is not the deep red effect that we want. This is just not. I'm not got the right shade of red. This is coming up too pink. So, worst case scenario is we go with a solid red, so there won't be any wood grain showing. The best effect I got for bringing grain up in the pine was putting this stain on it. The red or the black, I don't know, that it did something. You can see grain, but this also clogged up my sandpaper like almost immediately. Well, I'm delighted to say that by mixing this really dark stain that I happened to find a can of with the just straight ink, like undiluted, and then rubbing it on, I'm getting a very rich shade. I really like this. So I'm still going to sunburst it. I'm not going to bother doing the sides. I'm just going to do the front and the back of the body. But I mean, let's get rid of this pink crap and go to this nice rich color. It's nice. Well, that worked so well, I decided to do the whole thing, sides and all. So we're getting kind of a weird, interesting sort of, I dare call it a walnut-y effect, where the wood filler stains, and there's, you know, that's just the way it's sanded. The only spot where it just looks like a chunk of crap wood filler is right there on the heel. So what I might do is wait for that to dry and just sand that down heavily. Well, I got a slightly more intense sunburst effect than I wanted. By intense, I mean I did more dark than I wanted to do. But this was an experiment. This is my homemade easy bake oven. There's a 1900 watt heater, a bed sheet hanging from the ceiling. I'll close it up in a moment. And I've just used clamps to hold the bed sheet to the ceiling so the hot air can escape through the top, but otherwise it's got nowhere to go but to bake this thing. The sunburst is a bit intense. It's a lot of dark, not a lot of red left, but it looks better when it's right in front of you. I have to take my word on that. Okay, sunburst time. What I've got here is a piece of cardboard suspended over the workpiece with a couple of screws. This is actually stuck into this goofy neck replacement. And then these guys are stuck just gently into where the strings are going to come through. I don't think I've damaged the holes, but the holes are already smaller than they are in the bridge plate, so no problem there. So this, I'm just going to spray at it, coming from above, and let the overspray go underneath the cardboard, and that's what's going to give it the effect I want. Well, we got the probably the last coat of urethane on the body. I don't think I'll do another one, but it depends. I'm going to wet sand it. That's 1500 paper. It's not quite as fine as I would like, but it's the finest paper I happen to have. So I'm going to hit the back and see what it looks like, and then if it looks too scratchy and I can't buff it smooth with this guy, then I will hit it again with fresh urethane, because I still have some left. If it buffs out nicely, then I'll just do the whole thing and buff the whole thing out nicely, and then we're done. At least the body work, and then we move on to actually wiring and assembly. So I'm looking forward to that. We are almost done. One of my favorite pastimes is learning, and I have learned that if you don't use some kind of cream, abrasive wax kind of a stuff while you're buffing, the buffer can heat up and take all the stuff off. So I'm going to have to replace the urethane in this area, plus it took some black off, so I'm going to have to sand this down even more and repaint it. So let's see what kind of a finish I can get. I was getting a nice result. It was getting shiny in spots, but apparently you cannot hover in one spot for too long. This was burned right through, as I did there. Oh well, live and learn.